Let's move on to Israel and the arms deal. I mean, Israel have accused the British government of rewarding Hamas terrorists because David Lammy has announced that he's going to suspend some arms export licences. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, David Lammy has made this announcement today, and it is very contentious indeed. In terms of sort of absolute funding, it isn't hugely important. The British government only contributes 0.02% of Israel's arms. It's not going to make a big difference in Israel's arsenal, but it is a statement of intent. The Labour government at the moment is saying that it is still fully behind Israel, but there is no getting around the fact that it has gone now further than the US in stopping Israel receive everything that it needs. David Lammy is so far saying essentially that it's basically a technicality, that he has received this report saying that there is a chance, just a chance, that Britain's weapons could be used to break international law by Israel. He's not saying that they are breaking international law, just that they could. And so he has no choice but to make this decision. He and the Defence Secretary, John Healey, are still maintaining that Britain is fully behind Israel. But of course, actions speak louder than words. And while the US has threatened to block arms deals with Israel, it hasn't actually gone that far. And Kamala Harris, the Democrat nominee, is saying that she wouldn't go that far, that she will continue supporting Israel. There is a bit of a question mark over whether this is all actually quite politically motivated. Ever since October the 7th, Keir Starmer has been under a lot of pressure from some of his backbenchers, particularly those with a big population of Muslim constituents, to be less supportive of Israel. And you could argue that Labour actually lost 5 seats in the general election to pro-Gaza candidates. Are those people in Parliament now putting pressure on Keir Starmer? And is that why he's decided to make this move now?
What about
arms to Israel?
Arms to Israel. So we've gone out on a limb here in the sense some countries have gone there already, but the United States significantly haven't.
Well, what, of course, the extraordinary David Lammy, a man who's already embarrassing us internationally as such a useless foreign secretary, he's saying that we're not going to send these parts, mostly parts for arms, in case they're used to break the law, international humanitarian law. Well, that is true of any arms deal.
Of course.
So it's also hypothetical and preposterous. What in fact he's done is it's a political move, because it's no coincidence that Jeremy Corbyn has formed an alliance with pro-Palestinian groups in Parliament. And this was announced at the same time as Corbyn announced his alliance. And I'm sure it was to unsettle and distract from Corbyn's move, and also partly to show support for the Palestinian supporters within the Labour Party. Lammy, of course, having agreed that the international arrest warrant for Netanyahu he supported it, he then flew to the Middle East to try and intervene in the ceasefire discussions, and was shocked to find Netanyahu didn't want to speak to him. Well, I mean, I'm sorry, the man is shown himself within a very short space of time to be, in my opinion, actively dangerous to have as Foreign Secretary.
You're spluttering with rage here.
Piers, I think that's tosh. I mean, all of it. The idea it's got anything to do with Jeremy Corbyn, I think, is a nonsense.
I think he's got a point, particularly about the independent MPs. Labour lost 5 seats.
That's right, they
because
did.
of the Gaza situation.
But I mean,
and they could lose more.
Well, yeah, but they can't lose it yet.
Yeah,
I mean,
but the Muslim vote will solidify and strengthen, because this war in Gaza is going nowhere.
Well,
Nigel.
I mean, we don't have to worry too much until the next election.
Right.
So I agree with you that Gaza, in fact, cost 5 MPs their seats. And I think, Jonathan Ashworth was particularly sad to lose someone of his talent from the Labour front bench. But what we've had here is, first of all, it doesn't matter hugely to Israel. They'll get upset about it, but only 1% of, less than 1% of arms being
But it's
imported.
Symbolism, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a symbolic thing. America, obviously, is the big one because they send 70%. We're joining other countries like Italy with the arms embargo. I think the important thing about this is that a review was carried out. Some of the evidence is, I think, where Piers is right, some of the evidence is not absolutely clear, but there is a definite risk of British arms being used against international humanitarian law. So it seems to me it's absolutely right to then make sure that those components, and they are only components, aren't used for that purpose. So a limited arms ban, it's only 30 licences out of 350, a limited arms ban seems to be the right way forward.
But I don't understand it.
I just want to ask you about this then. If that's the case, we supplied Qatar £2-point-something billion worth. Qatar, where the leaders for Hamas are apparently residing. We have sent, and they have a massive trade with us. We have licensing with people who don't subscribe to international law, like Qatar, who is mainly Sharia law.
I'd throw in Saudi Arabia there.
So why is David Lammy now postulating on his moral high chair about arms to Israel when yet Qatar and other countries that don't subscribe to international law, we're quite happy to supply them?
Well, I don't know if Qatar has ever used British arms against international law. I would agree with you.
But the leaders of Hamas are even in Qatar.
Well, they may be, but they're separate issues. I mean, that's the.
But you can't completely disassociate it.
No, but we're talking about using British arms. So, for instance, I would agree with you with our trade with Saudi Arabia, much bigger than our trade with Israel. Saudi Arabia have used British missiles to kill Yemeni children, and I'm very uncomfortable about our arms trade with Saudi.
But if you're uncomfortable, this is sheer hypocrisy.
No, but because I can be uncomfortable about both.
Yeah, but the Labour Party is sheer hypocrisy. You're doing one, you go, well, we'll take the licences off them, but not them. But yet they're doing exactly the same thing.
Well, we haven't. I mean, Saudi has been a long-standing contract. I mean, it's not just Labour. I mean, the Tories kept it going. It keeps about 40,000 jobs going in this country.
Oh, that's OK then.
Well, no, it's not OK. That's why I'm saying to you that I would like to see us have some kind of arms embargo on Saudi.
Do you remember Robin Cook tried to have an ethical foreign policy? Do you remember that?
Yes.
And it was abandoned within months.
No, and the Saudi contract with BAE is actually the biggest industrial contract Britain has ever had. When it was signed originally, it was £76 billion, and it's now since then grown enormously. It's the most important industrial contract this country has, and it's many more than 40,000 jobs at risk if that was to go.